Hello lovelies, welcome back to my channel. Last week we did some embroidery digitizing. What did you think of that? Did you like it? This week we are actually going to finish this bodice. We're gonna do it. And when we finish this bodice, this costume will be done. Just a couple things before we start. First, I did make the mock-up prior to filming this video so that I wouldn't have to repeat the mock-up process. I've got a few videos on this channel already of me making mock-ups. I do feel like that's a good part of the journey. However, I didn't use a brand new pattern, and so it's not as exciting, basically. So we start right off with the actual garment. Also, I will list as many of the materials that you can purchase online below. The fabric for this costume was purchased at a shop locally, so I'm not even sure that anyone can get it anymore, but the lace and a few of the other things that I use, I can link those below. So let's get started. Hi friends, so I've got a lot going on in the studio right now. Mainly I am both doing the embroidery for the bodice and making the bodice at the same time, which makes things kind of loud and crazy. So I'm going to try and come back and circle back with you all as often as I can, but I'm also doing double duty where my phone is going to record time lapses of the embroidery machine while my camera will get all the good pretty shots of me making this bodice. This video is specifically on the bodice, and I did release the, in the weird timeline of YouTube, the video on the embroidery will have been released by the time you're seeing this specific footage, but also know that I'm doing the embroidery while working on these things. I have decided I'm going to use this pattern by Truly Victorian. It is the TV 442. I've used this pattern 3 times now, and I love this pattern. But every time I make it, I forget that the last time I made it, that I thought it was too short on me. And I will post an image here of like work in progress on Sally so you can kind of see where the bodice meets the waistband and how I would rather the waistband be hidden. I would love the illusion that the big flowy skirts are coming out of this bodice, even though like any costumer looking at it can see like those are 2 pieces realistically, but they look like they're all one. So I would love to remedy that. So yesterday I basically took the pattern pieces just for the bodice, not even the sleeves or the bertha, and I lengthened them on like pattern paper, and then I lengthened them a little bit more to get that extra long skinny like bodice shape we're trying to go for. Made a mock-up, and then on the mock-up I just drew some adjustments and took those adjustments and implemented them on my paper. So we are good to go. So when you see me use this, these couple bodice pieces, they are this pattern. The sleeves I haven't changed, and the bertha is going to be a base. I will post a photo again of the actual bertha bodice we're going for. The bodice we're going for has all this fun little lace detailing and ribbon on the top of the bertha, and I'm actually making a bertha so I have a base so I can visually see this is how much space I have to cover. And then I will also use that as a base to tack down the lace and the ribbon. I am gonna make ribbon. I didn't even think, I was at Joann Fabrics last week trying to get piping for this, and I did not even think about getting ribbon. So we're gonna make our own ribbon with the leftover scrap fabric. I don't know if that means we're just gonna sew some tubes together and flip them inside out. That is likely what's gonna happen. But I'll figure it out, and yeah. So I cut out my taffeta and the cotton for the lining, and I used the scraps of Power Boost lining for the interlining of the taffeta. Next, I adhered the Power Boost lining to the wrong side of the taffeta with my pressing cloth and my iron set to the wool setting. I started with my darts on the lining and the fashion layer by transferring the markings onto the wrong sides of the fabric. Then I can fold my pieces so these markings line up and I pin them. When I go to sew the darts, I do not backstitch at the point of the dart, and I leave my thread tails long so I can tie them off by hand later. Then I pin the front pieces together, followed by the side to the front pieces and then the back to the side pieces. And I make sure to line up my notches and put lots of pin in them, and then I'm ready to sew. Then I moved on to pinning the bertha pieces together. There's a top piece and a bottom piece for this, so I pinned these together, stitched them down, and then I brought them back to my ironing board to press all of the seams flat, and from there I pinned the two pieces right sides together and stitched them down. After that, I cut all of the corners and then I flipped it inside out, and I used my little turning tool to poke out these corners and just get them really crisp and clean and sharp. And then finally from here, I will just press this down and get it as flat laying as I possibly can. Now it was time to make piping, and to do this I start by making some bias tape, and then from there I will actually stitch my little cording at the top of the bias strip so that it will hold it, and with my piping foot we're going to make some piping. Then, to make sure that I properly use this foot, I go into the settings on my machine and I go to the piping foot setting, and there's actually a setting under that that is for making the piping, and then there's another one for sewing it down to the fabric. And I place the little cording strip into the foot on the side that it's supposed to go to, and then I just stitch away. It already has the setting, everything like programmed into the machine, so I basically just have to hold my piping like right there, just hold it in place and make sure it stays in the groove. Alright, now I'm gonna sew the piping and the bertha onto the taffeta layer, and boy am I having focus issues today. I do apologize for all of this out of focus footage. I will have to review the settings on my camera. At some point I stitched the lining to the taffeta layer, and then I clipped these curves. So then the next step is to actually flip all of this right side out. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do next. It should be noted that at some point along the way, I added plastic boning to the seams of the taffeta and to the darts of the taffeta layer. I did not get any footage of this, but I basically used the plastic boning that you get at Joann Fabrics. It's pretty easy to acquire, easy to trim, and that's what I used. So here's how it's looking so far. We still obviously have to add sleeves and all the embroidery. We have to make some ribbon, add grommets, but I think it's looking pretty good. I love these colors. I think they're stunning. So let's make some ribbon for this bodice. Oh yeah, I did have issues turning the piping, and I did need to clean all of that up, but I still think it looks good. I like it. To create the ribbon, I cut two 60-inch by 3-inch strips of this fabric. I didn't actually end up using all of it. My thought was to cut these out and make them this long and to use 2 ribbon pieces, but again, I only ended up using 1 ribbon piece. After cutting out my fabric, I pinned it together and I stitched it down at about 1/2 inch away from the edge. This made the tube itself only about 1 inch wide. Then, using my fancy tube turner tool and recording for Instagram Reels, as you can see in the corner there, I basically put my tube onto my tool and I turned this entire tube right side out. Hey y'all! So yesterday was my birthday and I kind of took it easy and just did small things. I did actually get the bodice mostly finished, so you can see here that I have the bertha and the bodice all together. I need to add grommets. I made some strips for ribbon. I need to press these again because I kind of did it at the end of the day and didn't give it a good pressing. And then I also finished with all the embroidery. I allowed the embroidery to soak overnight. I still have some spots of stabilizer in them. I think I should have cut away the stabilizer in where the tool was on the inside of each design, and I didn't, and so now I'm stuck with glue marks. So I'm going to try and do a delicate wash in my washing machine and then do a tumble dry to get it all dry and then press it. I'm gonna use my old iron in case there is stabilizer left, because if there is, it's gonna gunk up my iron and it's gonna be really bad for me. I'm a little disappointed because I did around like 20 to 25 hours of embroidery, like just my machine stitching it out. That's not including cleanup or digitizing. And to make such a just really dumb mistake and ruin all of it is really discouraging right now. So I'm trying really hard to kind of just get up the gumption to finish this. But basically all that's left is grommets. I have to make the sleeves, but the sleeves I can't do until my lace is done, and then decorate the bertha, and I can't do that until the lace is done either. So I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do. So I'm actually gonna start a new project. I'm not gonna talk about that on this vlog because obviously that's not the point of this vlog, but I'm just kind of checking in because I could have probably finished this yesterday. No, that's not true. I could have probably finished this today if my lace can get its act together and like look somewhat decent. If there's glue in it, I think I'm still going to use it. I don't know. I'm going to see how bad it is, but it's really discouraging. And I feel like this was going to be a project that I would just really nail and like hit out of the park, and I feel like it doesn't look anything like I had hoped. And it's all because of like small mistakes, and it just sucks. So that's where I'm at right now. Just trying to breathe through it and accept that this isn't looking how I expected it to, and try to find the good in what I have accomplished. Meanwhile, I'm going to cut fabric for a dress that I'm going to follow a pattern for to a T. Like none of this crazy let's try machine embroidery stuff, and kind of hope that that's the palette cleanser I need, because I am going to be doing a pretty big Halloween project this year and I want to be confident and excited for that and not like feeling like this. So that's my update. The glue residue didn't look too bad, so I just went with it. It could look way better. So now I'm about to make the sleeves and sew this lace onto the sleeves, and then I'm going to sew up the sleeve based on the instructions. After sewing on the lace, I sewed on some gather stitches, and then I pinned the inner sleeve piece to the outer sleeve piece and gathered the outer sleeve piece down so that it would fit the inner sleeve piece. From here, I will do the same on the top. You can kind of see me sewing the bottom right now, but you can't really see the stitching part. But I will basically gather that top part down to fit this inner dark purple fabric and then stitch that together. All right, so I have sewn the sleeve on like this, so you can see this is kind of where we're at with the sleeve, and then I'll show you the other side. I've pinned the lining over it, so that this is what I'm gonna hand sew down here in a minute, and I'm gonna do the same, like I'm gonna pin the other side, but basically I just sewed it in right sides together like I would the sleeve. I matched up the sleeve seam with the, that's the wrong side. Wow, I'm good at this, I promise. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, so I matched up the seam here with the seam here. So this is underarm seam, and this is the like side seam for the bodice. So now I'm gonna hand sew these, and then I'll get going on the bertha part. I have an idea of how I'm gonna add the lace to all this without having to hand sew it at 100%. I'm hoping it works. We'll see. Okay, so just an update on this. I have sewn this lace down. You can see I stitched it down here, and it's just stitched in the back. And then for these two, I stitched this top one up already, and then this one I'm pinning to go on top of it. And I'm gonna machine sew this down, and then I have my little like ribbon here that I think I might hand sew down just for precision, or I might machine sew it, I don't know yet. But yeah, it's not gonna look exactly like the bertha in the picture, and I'm okay with it. Like, I'm not trying to be perfect. And then I decided I'm gonna let, because my bertha is so much wider at the bottom, I'm just gonna let this hang. So we're gonna have like this ribbon, these two trims, and then this trim down here. And I am gonna rhinestone all of these. So once I'm done sewing this on, I will take this downstairs and rhinestone all of my trim so that we have that little bit of glitz. And I still need to clean up a little bit of this too, but I don't think anyone can tell. And then she gets grommets. I'll probably grommet her tomorrow because it's like 5:30. This took me a little bit longer because of all the issues with the stabilizer. But hey, I'm liking it. And yeah. So I managed to pull it off. I got it done later that night, and I really like it. It's pretty delicate and nice and pretty looking. If you don't notice the stabilizer in the tulle. But I'm excited to wear it. I think it's going to be beautiful. I love the rhinestones. Love, love, love the rhinestones. Thank you all so much for joining me on this journey of making my 1850s Ariel ball gown. I have decided that I'm going to do a reveal video later this week instead of including it in the end of this video, so make sure to stay tuned for that. If you would like to get early access to this video and help support the channel, head on over to patreon.com/CaseyReneeCosplay. That's my members only website where you can get exclusive benefits like early access to videos, monthly live streams, embroidery files, digital patterns, and access to our members only Discord channel. I will link the link below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and comment below. Interacting with my video tells YouTube that you like my videos, and it will also share my videos with more people like you. Until next time, may all your dreams come true.